Okay, Bill, I am so excited to have you on our set today.
And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really pumped. I've heard really wonderful things about you. So what we're needing is this is a big pivotal moment of the movie.
Okay.
It is life-threatening. If they don't do something right now, it's the end of them. So I need a line. We're gonna ad-lib
my
some
character
lines.
is a coward, right? So I have to be like
he
a
is
coward.
He is a little scaredy cat.
right.
He's kind of afraid. He always thinks the worst. So I want you to ad-lib some lines for this scene once they've crashed a vehicle. Okay?
All right, I think I can do this.
Okay, let's hear you. Let's go.
That's it, man. Mother trucker, that hurt like a butt cheek on a stick.
This is a rated R movie. You can cuss, you know.
Oh, I didn't know. That's why I said mother trucker, because I didn't know if I could curse or not.
Well, I mean, you can. But also the line is a little silly. And this isn't a horror movie, so we do want to bring that scaredness to the film. So let's try another one. All right,
I think I got one.
Okay, ready.
That's it, man. My leg.
Okay, cut. Bill, have you been watching SpongeBob lately, or?
Yeah, you haven't seen it, man. It's great.
No, I've watched SpongeBob. That's how I knew that you were doing a reference to SpongeBob. Let's try again. Okay, let's nix the SpongeBob. Okay, no cartoons.
All right, I think I got a few more in me.
Okay, let's hear them.
All right. That's it, man. Does that make you horny, baby?
Okay. Another movie reference. Well,
You don't like Mike Myers or something?
he's great, but this isn't a comedy. This is a serious film. Okay? Their life is in so much danger, and I need him to escalate the situation.
All right. Just give me one more shot. I can do this.
One more shot.
That's it, man. Get to the chopper.
Oh my God. Bill, cut. Oh my gosh. Bill.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I'm nervous.
I get that. But man, it's game over, man. Game over. What the fuck are we going to do now?
Wait, hold on. That's it. Game over, man. You just slayed the cat.
Can you give me that line?
You bet.
Hell yeah.
Slay the cat. Slay the cat. Podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Here let's talk your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
What's up, all you face huggers out there? Welcome to Save the Cat, a movie podcast. I am your host, Joey, alongside my wife and co-host.
The self-sacrificing cyborg, Aaron.
The self-sacrificing cyborg. So you think that you're the bishop of this whole operation?
Yeah.
I'd go with that.
You're the main character, though.
I was about to say, like, you are full of white stuff.
Ew. Gross.
White milky stuff. And a bunch of tubes.
Gross. The inside of those cyborgs is so disgusting.
I know. The first one came out in 1979, so they didn't really have robotics to go off of.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like a synthetic life form or something. I never really understood it.
Well, I mean, and when they did the second one, they had to go with the same kind of
Yeah, of course.
milky white, gross jizz.
Yeah, well, because they wanted you to be afraid that like he was going to be a turncoat.
Yeah.
Like the guy was in the first one. But I like that they flipped that whole thing on their head.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But anyway, before we get into Aliens, that's the movie we're going to be talking about today. If you didn't look at the title of the podcast before you started listening, we're going to be talking about the 1986 I almost said 1986 classic. The 1986
sick classic
Aliens, directed by James Cameron, starring a bunch of famous people, including Sigourney Weaver. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, a little family news is we're finally going to pick up our puppy.
this week.
The day that you are listening to this, we will be going to get our puppy.
Aw, I'm so excited.
Yes. Have we talked about it on here before?
Yeah, we talked about it last week that we were getting a puppy.
Yeah. Well, that's finally happening. We're finally going to get little Giuseppe and bring him home.
Yes, I'm so freaking excited. I'm literally taking off a rehearsal to go get him, and I cannot be more happy.
Yeah, we got to make a little drive out to San Antonio, pick him up. But I think it'll be fun. We'll get to eat at Texas Burger. It's one of my favorite burger places that you can't get inside Houston.
Honestly, I think he's also almost as excited about Giuseppe as he is going to Texas Burger. We don't really get to go often because it's not in
No, we
our
never
area.
get to go. We never leave the city.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Also, you might notice I sound weird, and I don't sound like me. I've been a little under the weather. So I'm still recovering. It's been like a week.
Yeah, you've had some really bad allergies that have been affecting your voice.
Yeah. So
And making you cough a lot. It's been pretty rough.
yeah, it's hard to sleep.
Yeah.
Is it hard to sleep with me around you?
No, I mean, you wake me up a few times at night, but I just go right back to sleep. It's not
Okay,
that big a
that's
deal.
Damn it.
I'd kick your ass out. I'd be like, go sleep in the middle bedroom.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't kick you out, though.
Oh, he's so sweet.
Yeah, I don't like the way that middle bedroom bed sleeps. Our bed is much more comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyways, we're going to be talking about the 1986 sick classic Aliens. But before we get to that, one of the first movies that we've covered on this podcast was Alien.
Yes.
You can go back and listen to it, but that was back when we were giving no bullshit assessments.
Yes.
Rather than ratings. So, Aaron, I want to ask you if you could remember the movie Alien well enough, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, what would you give the original Alien movie?
I would give it 9 cat lives. It's a solid movie.
It's one of the most solid movies.
It is a fantastic movie. I couldn't rate it lower than that.
Yeah.
Like the acting's fantastic, the effects. It's a beautiful movie. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah. The original Alien, I think, is a masterpiece in modern filmmaking. Everything from like performances, sets, special effects, everything. It's just masterfully made.
What year was that? Was it filmed?
79.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks amazing for 1979. Like, aesthetically,
Watching it, I wasn't like, oh, this is a super old film.
No,
It doesn't look like that. It looks very, very well made.
Yeah, I personally think it's like a crowning achievement in filmmaking. And I think people would talk about it if it wasn't.
I think it set a standard for films. Because, I mean, when you go into the 80s, you get more styled like that movie.
Maybe.
It seems like it. I don't know what other movies were happening before that. But, like, I know that Star Wars was before that.
Yeah.
Which, it's fun. But it's not, like, as spectacular as Alien.
I don't think, it's... Besides taking place in space, they're very different movies.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to think of other sci-fi movies.
Yeah, if Alien wasn't like a rated R, like half of it, it's like half horror. I think people would talk about it like being a more beautiful, groundbreaking film. But since it's had like, people don't take horror seriously.
Yeah.
But that's a 9 cat lives movie for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would watch that over and over again.
Yes, and I absolutely love that movie. And I just wanted to get our ratings for that so that at the end when we give our ratings for this...
You can see the difference.
Yeah, we can be like kind of a comparison because the original director was Ridley Scott, and he didn't come back.
Yeah.
This one is done by James Cameron, and you know who James Cameron is,
He did
right?
Titanic, right?
He did Titanic. He did Terminator 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
He does the Avatar movies, True Lies. Like, he is one of the best big budget directors in the game. So I think this will be a fun, like, little comparison between, like, Ridley Scott, who's also another famous big budget director. Kind of seeing, like, they did the same genre and, like, how they're...
Well, it's the same
franchise. Yeah, but I won't, like, we can, at the end, we can sort of compare to be like,
Yeah.
you know, what did Ridley Scott do versus what James Cameron did? And, like...
I have some notes about differences in the films. Like, something that I noticed in the first film was that they used a lot of fog and those kind of special effects, whereas the special effects in this, there was a lot of water.
Yeah,
it wasn't
James
as
Cameron loves his
foggy.
water.
It was not nearly as foggy. There were a lot of water drips, which was a really nice atmospheric to add to it. But I think it just made it different. It didn't make it worse or better or anything like that. It just was different.
Right.
But there was like some moments when there was fog.
Moments.
But there were some moments when there were fog, and I was like, oh, it made me like be like, oh, the original one. So
Yeah. Well, this is early in James Cameron's career. He had already done the first Terminator, but I think that was it. Because Terminator was in 84 and this is in 86.
Yeah.
So he's still kind of a new filmmaker. But
how
now,
long had Ridley Scott been doing film when he made Alien?
I think Alien was a pretty early film for him too.
Oh, okay.
But they're both masters of filmmaking. You know, no one can deny that. They have very different styles.
Yeah.
And they both do very different projects, but still.
And also, it helps that, like, Sigourney was able to do the second one.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely makes it, because she's such a fantastic actress.
No, this movie would be garbage without
Yeah.
her. I would not
She's
want to
so
see.
good.
I would not want to see a sequel to Alien without her
Yeah.
in it. You know, some of these later movies that are in the Alien world, I didn't see, but if she had been in them, I might have gone to see them. Anyway, let's just focus specifically on Aliens. What are your general impressions of this movie?
I mean, overall, I was just trying to kind of figure out like what was similar. I didn't realize that the directors were different, because I don't pay attention to that whenever I'm starting to watch a film.
I didn't tell you on purpose.
Yeah. But I was trying to like look at like, oh, like the set. I wonder how different the set is. I do think the original set is way more detailed. The set looks great, but there was less detail in it.
Yeah. It's a lot more. It's like this movie I would call gunmetal gray.
Yeah.
Whereas the other movie I would call like not exactly bright and poppy.
Technicolor.
Yeah, Technicolor and man, what is the word?
It's dynamic, like with the coloring of things. Which I mean, it's still also a very gray film.
Yeah.
But all of the texture, that's
a good word.
The texture of the film.
There's a ton of texture.
So much texture in the original, and there's way less in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some. It's still the set looks great, but I would say like the original set is way better.
Okay. Yeah.
So much detail. God. The
Did you
set
know-
designers for that.
Did you know
fantastic job.
Yeah. Did you know any of the famous things from this movie, like "Get Away from Her, You Bitch" or "Game Over"? Did you know any of those?
No, I didn't know those.
Okay.
Is Game Over like that? Was that not a thing before this?
No, I mean it was. It's just it's kind of famous because Bill Paxton improvised that.
Oh, he
on
did.
Set. Yeah. So you'll see things of like famous improvised movie lines, and that's always one of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then of course like "Get Away from Her, You Bitch." Like that's if you were watching this movie in the theater, like the theater would probably cheer when that happens.
No, yeah, I didn't know any references of this movie.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Bill Paxton is a big standout in this movie. Well, he always is in anything he
I'm
does.
trying to think of what else has he been in.
Twister, did you ever?
Oh, I loved Twister.
Yeah, he was the lead in that, and unfortunately, he doesn't really shine as a lead. He's just much better as like a Poppy-like side character. But he's been in tons of stuff. He was in the original Terminator too.
Oh, okay.
But he only had like 2 lines in it. And one of the lines is really memorable. He goes, "Hey man, I think this guy's got a couple cans short of a 6-pack."
Oh, he was in Apollo 13, Twister. I haven't seen Apollo 13 though.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's always doing good work. He's got a really great part in True Lies where he tries to sleep with Jamie Lee Curtis. Do you remember that? We were watching True Lies the other day.
I don't know what
It
that.
was pretty funny. Well, I know I showed you the clip where he's talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, "She's got an ass like a 10-year-old boy and tits that make you want to stand up and beg for breast milk or something."
Gross.
Well, he's supposed to be a sleazeball.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
He was in Titanic deleted scenes.
Oh, he was one of the guys in Titanic in the beginning. He's one of the guys who's like searching for the Titanic in the little submarine.
Oh, okay.
Like he wasn't one of the. I don't think he would really shine in a period piece, but yeah.
Okay. He's done a lot.
Yeah. Any other actors that you liked?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I didn't really like notice anything. But one thing I did notice is the little girl looks a lot like our daughter,
Yes, she does.
which was kind of funny.
So if you want to know what our daughter looks like, watch Aliens. She looks like Newt,
Yeah, she does look a lot like Newt.
but she is not quiet like Newt is.
Oh no, hell no. We were talking today, like we were. We were in the car and she goes, "How would y'all," like, I don't know what she was talking about, but she was like, "Am I sweet?" And we were like, "You're a little both." And she was like, "I'm like a sweet tart." And we were like, exactly. Cause she is a very sweet girl, but she is so sassy. So.
Yeah, she's a little sassafras. Mm-hmm. All right. So any other general opinions?
No. I mean, there were some really funny moments in this film too.
Oh yeah.
That made me laugh, which I don't think the original really had any like super laugh out loud kind of scenes. I don't know, like was it the same writers or were they different writers too?
James Cameron wrote the screenplay for this one too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why there's more comedy in it.
Yeah, this has his fingerprints all over it. Like I'm a big James.
I did
Cameron
like
fan.
the comedy aspect of it because it gave me it gives you a good juxtaposition of like their situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I love horror with comedy.
Yeah, well, I mean, this movie.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, well, this movie I wouldn't call horror. I would call this like a straight action film.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of like gunfights and explosions.
Yeah.
Whereas the other movie was like they're being stalked by an alien.
Yes.
But yeah,
And they're stalking them kind of. Well, they're trying to.
Yeah, the action scenes in this movie are super tense, like nail-biting tense, because Cameron is really good at writing scenes like that. But having the humor in there really makes it much more watchable because you don't want to feel that much tension for this movie is over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you don't want to feel that. You don't want to have your stomach in your chest for that long.
Yeah.
That's not a good feeling. So the humor really helps this movie a lot. And the Space Marines, I was in the Army for 8 years. These guys feel like actual military guys, like making fun of each other and like getting out of line and then having to get put back in line by their first sergeant or whoever that guy was. And the whole like having the incompetent lieutenant.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, yep, that's a real thing. All right. So you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. So we have the title comes up. Aliens comes in real slow. I don't think the title looks as good as it did in the original. And then
it does in the opening. I don't know if this is not part of the title because I can't really remember the title part. But like the opening scene, whenever they're going, it kind of goes through the ship, like the first one. So James Cameron definitely looked at the other film and was like, hey, these are the moments that I think should kind of mirror what I do in mine. Like the filming of the ship where Sigourney is sleeping and with her and her cat in the pod.
Yeah.
And showing them kind of panning through everything. So it looks very similar to the first one.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was definitely going for that. He wanted people to be there and be like, oh, this feels like the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's sleeping with her cat, and you as the audience go, oh, great, the cat's still alive. Because you care about the cat. This is slay the cat, but we actually prefer to save cats.
Yeah.
So, and there's like a little thing that cuts down the door.
Yeah. And so the ship is going through space, and then you see it kind of being pulled to, or it's going towards this bigger ship. And I was like, oh shit, that's the mothership of the aliens. So she's got to deal with all this shit again. But they cut her out of the pod, and she's been and they tell her that she's been in hypersleep for 57 years.
Yeah.
But she doesn't wake up immediately.
No, they go in there. They like it's a slow moving thing, and like they cut a hole in the door. Then a little camera thing goes in with like a laser thing, and you can see the
scans
lasers
to make sure there's nothing in there.
Yeah, so they're being real careful, and then some spacemen go in and they get her out of there, and she doesn't wake up until she's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And then,
I mean, being in hypersleep for 57 years, it makes sense.
Yeah, and then that's when we meet Paul Reiser, and he comes in there to visit her, and he's got the cat with her. Do you remember the cat's name?
No.
Yeah, I don't remember. And he says, like, you've been in hypersleep for 57 years.
Yeah.
And then the cat hisses, and...
Is that the guy that, in the end, is not great?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Paul Reiser.
Which, that's good foreshadowing. I didn't realize that it hissed at him.
Well, no, this is something different. Like, she's in the hospital, and the cat starts to hiss. And then,
it's hissing at her.
Yeah, it's hissing at her.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. And then, like, her chest starts to bulge.
Yeah, she's like got pain in her chest, and she goes up against the wall, and then it bulges, and
yeah, and then there's
alien
a chest,
pops out.
Yeah, there's a chest burster, I think is what they call them. And then she wakes up. She's like, oh, she's just having PTSD dreams. And then it shows them in the boardroom, and she's talking to a bunch of people, and I don't know who these people are exactly. Mm-hmm. But she's like trying to tell her story about, what happened.
Well, I think they're trying to see like, okay, why has she been out there for so long, and what information does she have? What happened to her ship?
Right.
And because one of the things that they kept saying was that, like, because they'd been interviewing her several times, and in that interview they were like, well, why did you do this, and this? That's not the protocol. That's not what you should have done. And she's like, because there was a fucking alien.
Oh, right. She's trying to say, they were like, why did you make the ship self-destruct?
Yeah.
That's millions of dollars. And she's like, because there was an alien who wiped out my whole crew, like literally in 24 hours. I was doing what I thought was best.
Yeah.
And we're reintroduced to Ripley's whole thing. Is like, Ripley is like, I have to do the right thing, even if it means sacrificing somebody or something like that.
Yes.
She's someone who's very by the book, and she doesn't care about money or science or anything like that. She's like, I've got a job to do.
Yeah. And I'm going to do that job.
Right. Exactly. But then there's no evidence of the creature.
So they think she's lying.
Yeah, so they don't believe her. But, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why she would do that. If, they can look at her record as a worker and, see that she's not a troublemaker, doesn't do crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she says that there could be thousands of eggs on that planet.
Oh, yes. And this is when we hear that guy, what's his name?
Paul Reiser?
Yeah.
Or his name in the movie is Burke.
Yeah. When Burke tells Ripley, well, I mean, you've been out there for 57 years, and we've had people on that planet trying to oxygenize the air for for 40 years or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's just that the planet that they originally found the alien and all the like little egg sacs on and stuff in the original movie has been colonized, and they haven't had any issues.
Yeah. And so they're like, we don't believe you that there was an alien because we've had people there for 40 years and nothing has happened so far.
Right. But then they want to go there because they haven't had any contact with him.
Yeah. So.
But she says she won't go because it's too dangerous.
Yeah. And also, if I just went through that shit and someone asked me, hey, will you go back to help us out because you're like an expert in these aliens? I'd also say, fuck no.
Yeah. So at first she says no. Typical hero is refusing the call to adventure type garbage. But then later, Paul Reiser goes back there and he's like, look, you've been working in the docks, right? Well, if you go back with us, I can have you reinstated as a flight officer. And she wants to make sure that they're not going to try to bring any aliens back or bring any specimens like that. And he's like, look, you have my guarantee that we won't do that. And also she talks with the lieutenant, and the lieutenant is like, yeah, I can guarantee your safety. I've got space marines and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And then this time she's not going with a crew that was there to go forge stuff.
Yeah.
They are there to protect each other.
Right.
And to get them motherfucking aliens.
Now, if you remember the first movie, they were just a mining crew or something. I forget exactly what, but they are asked to go check out this planet or whatever the hell it was that they were just passing by.
Yes.
But later in the movie, you kind of get the feeling like these guys were set up, because when we figured out that the android or the cyborg was a turncoat, it said like, oh, well, maybe this was a whole conspiracy, and they sent those guys in because they're just a bunch of blue collar workers.
Yeah, we don't care about them.
Yeah, and not only do they not care about them, it's like they're not going to ask any questions if we tell them we're going to pay them more money.
Yeah.
They'll go and they'll pick up the alien specimen and never even give it a second thought. So I think that's why Ripley, one of the reasons she's so reluctant in this movie is like, look, like my crew got tricked.
Yeah. And
I don't want to be tricked too. So Burke is like trying to act like a good guy in all this.
So, but she also, there's a point where she's like talking to her cat and she's like, you're going to stay back here. I'm going to go because I think she thinks maybe if I go back and I help them, I can maybe stop having these nightmares, but I can also protect them because I know what they are capable of.
Right.
So she says yes. And so, we see the new ship that they're on. I don't know if there's like a scene between that.
No, there isn't. The next scene is they're on a new ship and they're in hypersleep.
Yeah.
And all the Marines are there and everything.
Yeah. And so they're sleeping and then we see their pods like open up. And so they're about to wake up because they're close to the planet. And the funniest thing, I loved I think he's the captain. But he wakes up and immediately has a cigar.
Yeah, he's not a captain. He's definitely an enlisted guy. I would he's probably like what they would call a platoon sergeant, or in the Marines, a gunny or a gunnery sergeant.
Oh, okay.
But he's definitely in charge of the enlisted groups, and he's got a cigar in, and he's walking by the pods, and he's like, rise and shine.
But he also makes demands of them. Yeah,
but he's saying like stuff like, with this in the Marines, like every meal is a feast, every day is every paycheck is a fortune. He's just saying like really cliche military stuff that I'm trying to look for it in the quotes, but I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Sergeant Apone is his name. All right, sweethearts.
I was about to say, is he like a sergeant and the other guy's like...
Yeah, he's a sergeant. I'm sorry. I forget that not everybody was in the military. But a sergeant is pretty much everybody in charge in the enlisted thing. So
okay.
But he would be like a platoon sergeant or a gunnery sergeant in the Marines. So he says, "All right, sweethearts, what are you waiting for? Breakfast in bed? Another glorious day in the Corps. A day in the Marine Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal's a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. I love the Corps." Yeah. But there were people who talk like that.
Oh, gross.
And then they're all eating breakfast. And this is
But this is also when all of the other people, all the military's like, who is she? Like, who is this lady?
Oh, yeah.
Because she's not military and they know she's not. But it was a really good, they did it in a good way, a really great way to where you could see like the juxtapose, because like even the females that were in the military, like they were acting completely different than Ripley. So it shows you like the difference in them.
Yeah. And then there's that female Marine who's Vasquez, I think. Mm-hmm. The actor that plays her is white.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They gave her a tan.
Oh.
Yeah. Today they wouldn't do that, but back then, that woman who played her was also John Connor's mom in Terminator 2.
Oh.
So she's one of James Cameron's people that he uses a lot.
Okay.
But I think she's great in this movie, despite the whole race thing. And there's a funny joke in there where she's doing pull-ups, and Hudson goes like, "Hey, Vasquez, anybody ever mistake you for a man?" And she goes, "No, does anybody ever mistake you for one?" Or something like that. Which I thought was a funny joke. Then they're eating breakfast.
Yeah, and Ripley is sitting next to Bishop, and I don't know what he does. I guess he like pricks his finger, and there's.
Well, you remember when he does the knife and the hand trick?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I thought it was something that I heard that was really interesting was the guy who plays Bishop, Lance Hendrickson.
Uh-huh.
That scene was in there, but he was just supposed to do the knife on Bill Paxton's hand.
Uh-huh.
But he's like, "Look, this robot or whatever it is supposed to protect these guys. So why doesn't he put his own hand over Hudson's so that he's protecting his hand so he won't accidentally stab him?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole thing was his idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looked really good, because it shows you also that other guy's character is very like scared of everything, and they were like holding him even, and like he was like whoa the whole time.
Yeah.
But so he goes and sits by Ripley, and he has a little cut on his finger, and you see white stuff coming out, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, is that his penis?" I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No,
is that pre-cum? What is that?
And then he like puts it in his mouth to like kind of like what you like some people do with like a wound, like they suck the blood out. And she looks at Burke, and she's like, "I thought there weren't going to be any cyborgs on here. No one said anything about cyborgs." And he was like, "He's just here this is a newer model. They had different models back then." And then he told Bishop of the cyborg that went haywire when she was on her original mission. And I was like, "Oh, I forgot about that."
Yeah. But I like that Bishop, he says, like, "I prefer the term artificial person."
Yeah.
It kind of like rings true with all the stuff about transgender people these days, like saying like, "I identify as this" or "I identify as that." He's like, "I identify as an artificial person." So I like that. And wait, what was I thinking about? Damn. There's something else I want to say about that, but I forgot. He says that he's a hyperdyne system.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a fan of the Terminator movies, the Terminators are also like hyperdyne models. Like, I think
you said that to me, and I was like, I don't understand how that is similar.
Yeah, I think
or how that's related to this movie.
I think in Terminator 2, Arnold Schwarzenegger says that he is a hyperdyne system model 101 when he first meets John Connor. But anyway, I know that that's what it is. So James Cameron's just reusing this like different thing. But hyperdyne, it sounds good.
Yeah. So she says like, "I don't want to be around cyborgs But we know that she's going to be keeping her distance from him. So she
Right.
was like, you need to stay away from me because I don't trust you. And so it puts everyone up like, oh, is he going to be like similar to the other guy? And
Right.
I guess like, what is it called?
A turncoat?
I guess turncoat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So then they are at some hangar somewhere near the colony, and they say like, "Oh, there hasn't been any contact with the colony," and they have Ripley there, and they're like, she tells her story to the Marines about like what happened, and they're not very responsive. They're just like, "Yeah, whatever. Like it's our job to kill these things." So we'll just
even
take care of it.
Vasquez is like, well, if they're in front of me, they're shot immediately, like something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just trying to show like, oh yeah, I'm tough. You're fine. I'll get it. It's fine. It's like you're not gonna be. You have nothing to worry about. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah. So they're not taking her seriously, and I'm sure this rings true to a lot of women, because women when they're just not taken seriously. So it's kind of poignant. And then I remember Bill Paxton says like, oh. He's like, one more thing. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? And then the gunnery sergeant says, you better secure that shit, which is something that they say in the military a lot. Like a lot of the military talk on this was like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It really took me back and made
Secure that shit.
Yeah, like to secure something is to like,
lock it in.
Yeah, lock it down. So if you're like, if they tell you, if you're saying something and they tell you to secure that, it means it's just like a way to say shut up. Or, if you're acting stupid, stop acting stupid.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, I want to see everybody assholes and elbows, which
I don't get that.
I don't know if they only say this in the military, but like when you're bent over working on something, your ass is sticking out and your elbows are out. So if you look at somebody like working on a car or something, you'll just see their elbows and their butt.
Ass and elbows.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if like,
I don't want to see your face looking up. I want you in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I mean, I've been a mechanic. I've been working on cars since I was. I've been working on cars since I was 16. So I've been hearing that since before I was in the military. So
I've never heard that ever.
And then they're all loading up the ship, and Ripley goes up to the corporal and the gunnery sergeant. She's like, "I'm feeling like a fifth wheel. Is there anything I can do?"
Yeah. And he was like, "Well, what can you do?" And she was like, I have a grade C license or some type of license, so she can drive the little robot body thing.
Yeah, they call them loaders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, "All right,
those
go ahead."
loaders looked really cool.
Yeah, they were really cool little puppets. They were like real giant sized puppets. They weren't even miniatures, because the people were inside of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was cool as hell. That was one of the effects in this movie that I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, the loaders are really cool.
Yeah. And she gets in the loader, and they show her little like Reebok shoes.
Yeah, sliding in, and then she like starts helping out the guys.
Yeah, and they look real impressed. Like they like her. Like she's all right. Yeah, they're like, oh, she's gonna get along great with us.
This is also like right before she starts helping, before he tells them ass and elbows. This is when they meet the corporal or the guy that's in charge.
Burke?
No, the other guy.
The
incompetent. Yeah, the lieutenant.
Oh, okay.
This is when they kind of they introduce us to the lieutenant, and everyone's like, this motherfucker doesn't know anything.
Yeah, well, they also say like during breakfast, they're like, "Oh, he doesn't want to eat with us."
Oh, because he's eating with Ripley.
Yeah, which is normal. I mean, the officers usually don't hang out with enlisted, even like the lieutenants and stuff. But then they get in a tank thing, and
like a car.
Yeah, and they're saying something like somebody says express elevator to hell.
Yeah, they were like, we're on the express elevator to hell. But that's whenever they fly, or they get in the car, and then they drive into or like a ship.
Yeah.
And then they go, out of the ship and they drop, and he was like, express elevator to hell. So that's before the drop.
Yeah, they say that right before they fall in the drop ship or whatever it is.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then, so I liked that there was a female pilot.
Oh, yeah, the pilot's a female, too.
So she's like flying around and they're looking around and they don't see any like activity, but they notice that the lights are still on. So there should still be like communication from the colonists back to their home base.
Right.
So they're kind of confused, like, okay, well, why is there power, but there's no communications? So, so they're being cautious, and they
land on the surface of this planet or whatever it is, and it's very windy and dark, and they make their way to a door where they have to break into because obviously
and it's raining the whole time.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was rainy the other one. I think it was just more foggy.
Yeah, well,
that's why I noticed. I was like, there's nothing fogging the screen. In the first film, there was a lot of fog covering things, and like, so it was very mysterious.
Well, even in the first one, like the conditions of that planet or whatever it is were very harsh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if it was like ice crystals or something. I don't remember, but you can tell like they were both windy.
Yeah, there was a lot of wind, and it seems like there's debris and a lot of fog and stuff. So they make their way to the door, and then they have to break in, obviously, because there's no contact. And
one of the scaredy guy is like the computer guy, so he like puts something to the door to override it so that they can open it.
Yeah, and there's no activity on their motion trackers or anything like that. Then Ripley notices acid burns in the ground, and she's like, no, this place isn't secure. This place has been overrun by aliens. But the lieutenant is like, no, it is secure. Like, he swears it's secure. Right? So we're just showing how incompetent the lieutenant is.
Yeah, because the people go in, and and they all have cameras on them so that they can see, like, inside the little car. All of the military people, when they're going in, they have a camera on them so that the people in the car can see what they see. And so when they first get inside the door, it's torn to pieces. And I was like, you see all of this damage. How did you not realize that there were aliens there? And so they were like, there's nothing around, there's nothing going on, so it's secure. And that's when the lieutenant is like, okay, well, let's go inside. And that's when Ripley finds the little acid spills on the floor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to look around, try to find if there's anything there.
But that's when they stumble into the lab.
Yeah.
And they find all those face huggers and find out that the colonists must have stumbled onto the egg sacs. And been like, oh, hey, look at these alien creatures. Let's keep them and study them and figure out what's going on with them.
Yeah. And there were 4 of them in there. 2 of them were dead and 2 were still alive in these little or in these little glass
and one of them
things.
like tries to attack Burke, but it's on the inside of glass. And then I think one of the Marines says love at first sight.
So they keep looking around everywhere, and Ripley is with the lieutenant and someone else, I think 2 other people, and we see this, we expect an alien to be crossing because there's motion. And I think someone picked up motion on their little device.
Yeah.
And they start shooting at it, and then they stop because they realize it's a little girl.
Yeah, and then she runs off and to go hide.
And Ripley like chases after her.
Yeah. And she finds out that she goes in her little hidey-hole, and Newt won't talk to her because she's traumatized, and she's been surviving there for who knows how long. And she finds a little piece of paper in her room that says 2nd grade citizenship award. So she's like, oh, she must have been one of the colonists here. And then later they've got her in a room, and the lieutenant is like trying to interrogate her.
Yeah.
And like, but she won't talk. But then Ripley gets to her and is like far more motherly and like tries to clean her up and be nice to her.
And that's when because they find the name, and so everyone's calling her what her name was. But this is after she starts cleaning her face. This is when the little girl says, like, that's not my name. I mean, that's my name, but everyone calls me
nobody calls
Newt.
me that, yeah.
And she says her brother called her Newt.
Oh, okay. I forgot that part.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, wait. Her brother's the only one that actually uses her name.
Oh,
everyone else calls her Newt.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah, her brother calls her real name to mess with her. Typical little kid stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they find a cluster of trackers, right? Because each colonist has a tracking device on them, like a chip, like you would with your pet. Mm-hmm. And so they go in the tank thing, and they go to where the cluster is, and they find what looks like a nest.
Yes.
So if you remember from the first movie, those face huggers implant an egg in a human body, and then they gestate in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Before they turn
burst
into real
out of your
aliens.
chest.
Yeah. So then the Space Marines are in there and looking around to find survivors, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Ripley, being they always set her up as like someone who's really aware of her surroundings, and like someone who looks carefully at things. And she's like, wait a second, that's like a cooling unit that they're in. So what is their ammo like? And like the lieutenant's like, they're using explosive rounds. Like, what's the big deal? And she's like, well, if they rupture that, they could blow the whole place up. Yeah.
Which I don't understand. I mean, I get like they know what it is, but I didn't understand. But you immediately like, oh shit, they can't fire anything. So now they're kind of like in this place that is unknown to them. They don't know what they're up against. And then they also can't fire their weapons.
Yeah.
So the lieutenant says, hey, Sergeant, take all of everyone's bullets.
Yeah.
So they can have flamethrowers, but they can't use the explosive weapon, the explosive rounds.
Yeah. And also this is interesting because Burke backs her up. Like they're still like letting us think that Burke is a good guy. And he's like, no, Lieutenant, I think Ripley's right. Like, you should listen to her. Right. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, this is something so we find out later that Burke isn't a good guy, but.
Well, it's still self-interested. I'm just saying that they're still letting the audience think that he's a good person.
Because immediately, I mean, I thought the same thing, but then, like thinking back on it, knowing that he is a bad guy and what his plan was to bring them back, I was like, I just thought of it now. Whenever you said he was backing them up, but he could have been backing them up, saying like, don't use explosives because I need one of you to be infected.
Ugh. Yeah. Those are his possible specimens that he gets to take back. But that's why I said they're still allowing the audience to think that he might be a good person.
Yeah.
Because he's backing up Ripley, who is the hero of the movie.
Yes.
Right.
So he tells them they can't use it, but Vasquez has extra ammo with them.
Yep.
And several of them actually have ammo like hidden away. One of them, I think, like pretends to give it to someone, or I don't know.
Yeah,
there's several people
clear,
that have.
To be honest.
But Vasquez does give, like, I think her and her friend are really close.
Yeah, there's another machine gunner. Mm-hmm. They both have like M60s on an arm, and I remember that like one of my deployments, I was a machine gunner. For some reason, like the gunners bond. I don't know why, but those two like bond a lot over being machine gunners. Mm-hmm. But so they sort of conspire to be like, no, let's hang on to some of our ammo. Mm-hmm. I guess it's probably because
she had some and she gave him some back once he had to give his other one up.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, and someone had like a backpack full of them.
Yeah, maybe. But then they find someone who's still alive, and that person wakes up and starts going like, "Kill me!"
Yeah, kill me, kill me. And then that's when the thing starts coming out of his chest.
Yeah,
and so they shoot him.
Yeah, they flamethrower it, and then like some xenomorphs. Because I think they have some sort of ESP where if like one of them is being killed, or they all sense it somehow. Yeah. Because that's when like all the aliens wake up and they're like, "What?" Like, and they start trying to attack them. Mm-hmm. And so they have to run.
And they're
back.
kind of like in the walls, like they're like, I guess, sleeping in like the little crevices of the wall.
Yeah,
which they blend into. It's kind of
well, in the first movie they set up like they find small areas to sleep in. Because like remember in the first movie, the xenomorph is hiding in that escape pod that Ripley is in at the end of the movie. Yeah. Yeah. So they kind of sleep in hidden places. Mm-hmm. And then so they begin to attack and like they shoot back and they kill the gunnery sergeant. And the lieutenant is just completely frozen. Yeah. Like shit has hit the fan and he just doesn't know what to do.
And they've been using... So once they see these xenomorphs coming out, they start shooting at them and then they have to leave because this place could blow at any time now. Yeah. So they're leaving.
Well, plus it's a rescue mission and there's nobody to rescue. They're all like, it's all pretty much a lost cause.
And Ripley this whole time has just been like, pull them out, tell them to back up. And so they get caught in this and only 2 or 3 make it out.
Yeah. But what happens is like Ripley is like, oh, fuck this lieutenant guy. And she goes and jumps in the tank.
Yeah, she jumps in the driver's seat of the tank and drives it.
Yeah, well, they're inside the tank already.
Yeah,
but she's just like, screw it. Like this guy's not going to do shit. He's an idiot. Mm-hmm. So she's just like, I'm the hero. I'm going to go. I got to
get over there and save them. So she busts through the door, and like we see Vasquez and there's a couple other people. I know that what was the one guy, the silly guy, the scaredy cat,
Hudson.
Yeah, and then there's one other guy, and then Vasquez's friend. He doesn't quite make it.
No,
he's like at the car, and like they have to like leave him.
Yeah, like does he get acid on him? Was that it?
I think so, and like he was not going to be saved.
Yeah, but like Corporal Hicks gets out. Bill Paxton, Private Hudson, the lieutenant's okay. They lose the gunnery sergeant. I'm not quite sure who else. But yeah, but there's only a handful of people left. A lot of people bit the dust, which I actually think was a good move because this there's just too many characters in the beginning of this for that part. So they got rid of a few people. Yeah. Drake is his name. Yeah, Drake gets acid in the face because they shoot an alien and then the spray.
It like bursts all over him.
Yeah. And then they get out and they're back out on the terrain of that planet, and Ripley is just like, look, we can't take any more chances. We just got to nuke this place and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And so the Burke is like, no, we can't do that. That's millions of dollars. And so there's one guy who's the new lieutenant. I can't remember his name.
Corporal Hicks, Michael Bean.
I don't know. Anyways, but she tells him like, well, you're the new.
Well, did the lieutenant get hurt in that part or what?
I guess. I think she was like, well, you're the new.
Oh, yeah. It does. Yeah, you're right. It's in my notes. Hicks is now in charge. But this is Michael Bean. Michael Bean played Kyle Reese in Terminator. So he's another one of James Cameron's guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this guy, I don't ever really think got his due as an actor. Mm-hmm. I think he was really good in this and Terminator, even though he's playing a soldier in both movies. Mm-hmm. His character is wildly different. Like his character motivations are completely different in Terminator because he's like in Terminator, he plays this soldier who grew up in like a post-apocalyptic world.
Yes.
Where in this, he's just like a normal space marine.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a meathead in this. He's kind of like, he doesn't ever really have a plan, but he's a tough guy and he's not ever scared of anything.
Yeah. So Ripley's like, well, we need to like get out of here and nuke this place. And Burke's like, no, we can't do that. And he says, she said, well, this guy's in charge. Is Hicks.
Yeah.
Hicks is now in charge. So it's his decision. And so they're like driving in the car. Or
and
like
Hicks agrees with her.
Yeah.
He's
Hicks
like,
says, well, we're going to fly out of here and then we're going to nuke this place.
yeah. And this is also the part, the famous part where Bill Paxton says "game over."
Yeah,
where it was apparently it was improvised. Nobody was going to say it. Nobody knew he was going to say it, but it's one of the most memorable lines from the movie. I love it. Mm-hmm. And then they're still outside, and they're like, "Okay, let's call the dropship back." That female pilot has, and you see it lift up in the air, and then there's a xenomorph inside of it. Turns out,
yeah.
Right?
Well, so there's a pilot and a co-pilot, and the co-pilot, like they call, like, hey, you need to come pick us up. We're over here, and on the drop pad, and so he starts walking up, and then he looks down, and he sees like a hole in the.
Oh yeah.
So one of the aliens is there. So you know immediately that they're going to die. Mm-hmm. So they get on the ship and she's driving forward and everyone's like, yay, we're going to be there. We're going to be saved. And then he pops up behind her because she thinks she hears the door open and it's the other guy, but it's actually a xenomorph.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. And this looks really good when it crashes because they do sort of a compositing thing. They filmed a miniature of that dropship, right? And then they composited against those people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the surface, right?
Yeah, because it looks like it was one shot.
Yeah, but it looks really good, the whole crash thing. But it's a composited shot.
So cool effects.
Yeah.
It's so much better than
CG. Everything's CG now.
I know.
It's much more fun when you get to see a movie and be like, well, I wonder how they did that.
Yeah.
You know? Or you can read about it or like try to guess or whatever. And now it's just like, oh, everything's CG.
Yeah. Oh, it was CG.
Yeah. And it's not as much fun because it's like they just did it with a computer and rather than have like an actual physical object.
Yeah.
Even if it's a puppet or a miniature or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think it's just more fun.
I do feel like it takes the art out of a lot of it.
Yeah, it removes a lot of the art. Like there's an art to what like the VFX people do.
Yeah,
there's a lot of art to that, but it's just not the same. It's kind of it doesn't have as much charm as the older stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So the drop ship explodes, and so we're kind of like, well, fuck, what's going to happen? And Newt tells Ripley that like we got to go back inside because they come out at night for the most part. Like that's when they're most active.
Yeah, they'd already mentioned this once before, but she reiterates it. It's like it's almost dark, so they're going to be coming for us. And then they get back inside, and Ripley's like, "Well, once we don't make contact with them, they'll send rescue, right? So how long will that be?" And Hicks is like, "It'll be 17 days." And Paxton freaks out, and he's like, 17 days? We're fucked, man. And but then Ripley, being the voice of reason, is like, well, look, this second-year-old girl has survived here for over a month. So
we can survive 17 days.
Yeah.
So they go back into like the lab, and I think it's pretty dark. So she's putting Newt to bed. And remember, like the lab is where those creatures are and the face huggers. And she's very scared. She doesn't want to go to sleep. She hasn't slept in a long time because she's been
trying to survive
on this alien planet. But they she gets her to go to sleep. And she's like, I have a camera in here. I can watch you. Like, it's okay. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, and she gives her that little watch locator.
Yes.
That Hicks gave to her just like the scene before. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, it's going to be important later, obviously.
Yeah. So she goes in the main area. I can't remember exactly what they're doing. I can't remember what that scene was about.
Well, I mean, their bishop is like dissecting one of the face huggers. Yeah. And that's when they find out that Burke wants to take them back. Mm-hmm. And that Burke wants money. But Ripley wants to expose the company.
Yeah, and this is when she tells everyone, like, hey, like, Burke is not... Is this when...
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. And she exposes him to everybody and says, like, look, he wants to take a specimen back and so that he can work up the corporate ladder, essentially.
I guess.
Like, this whole plot line goes by really fast here. They don't really explain what he wants to do with it. Yeah. But he wants to take it back to help his career and make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And then
she lays, like, you can make millions of dollars too. Like, you could be part of this.
Yeah. But she's like, look, what he's going to do is, like, on the way back there, he's going to have us killed on the ship. And then he'll be the only survivor. So he can just make up whatever story he wants. Mm-hmm. I remember them saying that.
Yeah. So, because she says, well, he wanted to infect us. Is this when that happens, or is it later?
No, this is it. I'm pretty sure.
Because
when she goes back in there and to see Newt, and then they get attacked by the face hugger.
Newt is under the bed, and so she goes and lays down by Newt, and then she wakes up and she sees all of the stuff on the floor.
Yeah, but then that's when they're trying to escape that room and they can't get out. And, like, she's waving into the camera, and Burke sees them in the other room, and he shuts the TV off. Yeah. And pretends like he didn't see him in there. Because he does. Like, yeah. But I'm pretty sure that he's already been exposed at that point.
Oh, okay. Well, so Burke busted the canisters, I guess, and closed the door and locked it so that they can't get out. And Ripley is trying to, like, bust through. I don't remember who sees her through the glass screaming, but because you can't hear anything because it's it's soundproof, I guess.
Yeah, they never set that up that it was soundproof, but it's like okay, future, whatever, soundproof, everything.
Yeah. So they're screaming, trying to get out of there, and they're trying to fight these little things, and someone shoots through the window. Huggers. Yeah. The face huggers. And they shoot through the window and they go inside and they kill these two little bug things.
Well, you think it's just one at first, and then one, like, gets its tail wrapped around Ripley's neck.
And he's, like, trying to hug her face. Yeah. And she's, like, holding it back. And the other one is just kind of, like, going around the room, and Newt, like, pushes something up against its tail. Yeah. And the guy that shoots it, he, like, tells her, like, go away, and he, like, scoots her back and then, like, shoots it.
Yeah, he pushes her out of the way while continuing to pin it up against the wall. That was Bill Paxton's character. And then I think Hicks saves Ripley. Mm. Yeah. And Vasquez is still alive at this point. Maybe she was the one who shot the door. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we watched this movie a week ago.
Yeah, and since I was sick,
Erin lost her voice, so we couldn't record.
Oh, you should have heard me. It was way worse than this.
Yeah, it was way, way worse. But then we find out, after that whole fiasco, we find out that there's a valve that's blowing off pressure or something like that.
Yes, and they have, like, 90 minutes or...
No, the bishop is like, that thing is going to blow off like 4 times or something like that, and then it's going to explode eventually. Yeah. And I think he says we have like 9 hours or something.
Okay, like that. Yeah. So they know like they have to leave or they're going to all die.
Yeah. So what they do is they figure out that there's another drop ship somewhere on the planet that they have to.
No, there's a drop ship on the ship that's orbiting around them.
Okay.
And he can, if he goes to the communications, if Bishop goes to communications, he can pilot it back.
Remotely pilot
Remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they cut a hole in some sort of conduit that's just barely big enough for Bishop to fit through. And there was one part, I don't remember what they say to him, but he goes, I'm synthetic, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah. So he is like scooting through this tube to go
Shimmying.
out to the communication deck, I guess.
Yeah.
And they seal off all of the doors. They look at the blueprints and they're like, okay, we have to seal this, and this, and this, so that we can be safe.
Yeah. So this is like the third act of the movie, I would say. It's really hard to tell when the act breaks are in this movie because it's just one thing after another. But they're sealing themselves off, and they literally are trying to defend themselves against the aliens just long enough so that they can get on that drop ship.
Yeah.
And Hicks shows Ripley his gun and how to use it. And he's like, look, if it gets down to it, I don't want to turn into one of those things, so I'll kill both of us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then he's like, this is the grenade launcher, but you won't need that. And she's like, no, show me how to use the grenade launcher. So this is really great writing because it sets up, because later in the movie, she's going to have to use the grenade launcher.
Yeah.
But it would kind of bump you a little bit if he's like, well, how does she know how to use that? Mm-hmm. You could just easily get away with it. It's like, well, Ripley is a really competent person. But it makes it better if earlier in the movie she's like, oh, I know how to use a grenade launcher. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now the lieutenant is better.
Yes.
And he apologized for being a douche.
Yeah. And so they're inside and everything's been sealed up, they think. And they see the on their motion detectors that the xenomorphs are getting closer, or something at least is getting closer and closer. And there's like a countdown of like, okay, well, they're 5 meters away. They're 4 meters away. And then like they're literally in this, it's saying that they're in the same room. And they're like, how are they in the same room? Like there's no one in here. And then Ripley looks up and they realize that they've crawled through the ceiling.
Yeah, they're all up in the ceiling, crawling like through air ducts and stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we did get this out of order. Because it's not until now, like, she goes back to see Newt under the bed. And Bishop is aiming the satellite at the same time. And then that's when the facehuggers come in. Mm-hmm. And how she gets their attention is she lights the fire sprinklers.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Because then the alarms start going off, and they're like, well, what the heck?
Yeah. And then that's when they confront Burke, and they're about to kill him.
Yes.
And that's when the lights go off and they're like, okay, we got to seal ourselves in the room. Mm-hmm. So that's where we were in the thing. Because
we see that, and a backup generator goes on though, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So like the lights go out, and that's when they're like, oh shit, well, we need to like get out of here now because they're coming for us.
Yeah.
We killed a bunch of their creatures. They know we're here.
Yeah, and of course they're going to use them for egg sacs.
Yeah, so they're like, they did everybody else.
Yeah, and then they close in the ceiling, and I think Burke just like tries to run away, but then he gets eaten, which is a real cop out for me. Like I feel like they really wrote themselves into the corner with Burke.
Yeah,
and they're like, well, what are we going to do with him in the third act? It's like, I don't know, just kill him.
Yeah,
right. I would have liked to see them do something more with that character.
Yeah.
Because he just got exposed, and then like 2 minutes later, he's eaten. So.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, they could have, I think, like, having him being taken, I liked the way he was, like, he kind of closed them off in with them, and he was running in a different direction, and then he is confronted by one.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been really cool if they like took him away and put him in to go impregnate him. And he is one of the like maybe because later on Newt is also taken by one, and like it would have been cool to see Newt and him next to each other.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's being sacrificed.
Yeah. I just don't like the way they wrapped up his character. They could have just
Yeah.
not have him go to the space station at all. And it wouldn't have really made the movie any different.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Ripley, Newt, and everyone they're trying to get out of here, and they make it through the duct.
Yeah, they tunnel out, and then Bishop says like the ship is on its way, and Vasquez gets pinned down, and she blows herself up along with a bunch of xenomorphs.
Yeah,
and the lieutenant was with
the lieutenant.
Yeah, the lieutenant and her together.
Because I think one of them has like acid all over their leg or something.
Yeah, they're pretty much done for, and rather than just be eaten by the aliens, they're like, let's blow ourselves up and take a few aliens down with us. And that's when it's Hicks and Ripley and Newt, and they're climbing through some vents, and Newt falls down in the thing.
Yes.
And this is the part of the movie where we're like, oh my God, just stop already.
For real.
I'm just exhausted by this point in the movie.
Yeah, I would say, like, there's so many things happening. Like, some of those could have been nixed.
Yeah,
easy.
like, this is my biggest criticism of this movie. It's just, it feels like a little kid telling a story where he goes, and then
this happened.
And then she falls down, and then the alien comes, and then they shoot the alien, but then the alien comes back, and then
Yeah. So Newt is in the water, I guess the sewage.
Well, first they can't find her right away. So they're just going after the tracker.
Yeah. But we see Newt in the water.
Yeah.
And so she's like walking in the water, and they see like her tracker, but the other guy also has like a motion detector. And so you can hear his little beep thing, like beeping. And so you expect there's something around them.
Yeah, they really build the tension really well in this.
But Hicks is trying to cut the grid underneath their feet so that he can get to her.
Yeah, and it's like, is he going to be able to do it in time before the beep gets to her? And then they show the alien come up out of the water, and it looks really cool. Yeah, it looked cool as hell.
And so he like comes out of the water, and then we go. They get into I guess it's the sewage, and we see the little doll head, because Newt has been playing with this little doll head. She doesn't have a full doll; it's just the head. But we see the doll head floating in the water, and so Ripley's like, "They got her. They keep them alive. They don't kill them."
Yeah.
Because they need them to keep producing. Yeah,
so the Bishop's got the ship. They put Hicks on the ship. He's got acid all over him, so he's out of the fight. Mm-hmm. And she's like, look, I'm not leaving without Newt. And Bishop says, well, you have X amount of minutes.
Yeah.
I forget what it is. And so she goes down like, I don't know how many floors.
Yeah.
And
he like drops her off at the top of the building that the nest is in.
Yeah.
And so she's going down this elevator.
I don't remember. They illustrate how many floors down she goes, but it's a lot. So like every time she goes down further, your stomach drops even more. You're like, oh my God, you're never going to get out of there. This is really effective at this point in the movie. In a movie like this far into the script, you should always make your audience feel like there is absolutely no hope and there's no way that the main character is going to be able to get out of it. And they succeed in this.
Yes.
Like, even though I've seen the movie multiple times, I'm still scared. Mm-hmm. So this is a very well-written part, in my opinion.
So they also, I will say, there were a lot of jumps for me. There's a lot of jump scares in this movie.
Yeah.
And I am a very jumpy person, so I was jumping a lot.
Wow, Aaron, you
Sorry.
couldn't even silence your phone for our
Well,
podcast?
we went to a bazaar today, and we put in ourselves for a silent auction. So I'm waiting for a phone call.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to miss it.
Oh, that little baking basket. I didn't know was so important, Aaron.
Oh, well.
They probably won't even call till tomorrow.
Okay. Anyways,
All right, so she's looking at the tracker, and as she goes down there, she's lighting flares to leave like breadcrumbs for herself, I guess you could say.
that's what I thought. I was like, how long do those last?
Yeah. And then we found out that Newt is awake, and there's a face hugger nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting to hatch.
Yeah. It's like half open.
Yeah.
And Ripley sees, I think she shoots it, right? Immediately?
I think so.
Or she wait?
Or I think she hears her scream.
But she can also see the mother.
Oh, yeah.
And it's laying these eggs. So you see this mother in this huge-ass birth canal laying these eggs. And Ripley, like, gets Newt out of there. And I think she does shoot it because...
Yeah, she does shoot it, but I didn't know if it was at that moment. But, yeah.
But she gets Newt out, and then we see the mother like, what are you doing? And all of these xenomorphs start coming in. And
it's kind of like a standoff in that moment.
Yeah, she takes out her flamethrower, and she like shows that this is a flamethrower. I will burn all of your eggs if you do anything to us.
Yeah.
And so she kind of sends the way. She doesn't do anything to send them away, but...
Yeah, well, she's like slowly backing out with Newt. And then when she gets to the point where she can turn around and run, she flamethrowers a bunch of the eggs.
Yeah.
Right? And then they turn around and run. And she flamethrowers like the aliens too. Mm-hmm. But then the mother alien escapes.
Yeah, the mother alien rips her body from her birth canal to go chase after them.
Yeah, because it's like a big egg sack looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a duffel bag suspended from the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's gross as fuck. And then they get on the elevator, but then the mother, like...
There's
the mother
two
alien,
elevators.
Yeah, there's two elevators.
I thought that was so comedic that the little... Like, the mother alien is just like, do, let me wait for this elevator. Because there's like... Ripley's going up in the elevator, and there's an elevator coming down, and you hear the ding, and you're like, oh my gosh, this motherfucking alien got on this elevator.
That would be funny if they had like little music in there,
Yeah.
like do 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 do.
Yeah. And just like the mother alien's finger tapping.
Looks at her watch.
So she makes it to the top of the landing pad where Bishop should be, but he's not there.
Yeah, and she's like, God damn it, he left without us. So finally thinking like, oh, he did, like, our fears were true with him.
And the alien
did
comes
turn
back up.
Yeah. But then Bishop shows up right at the last minute.
Mm-hmm. And they get on the ship.
Yeah.
And this whole time there's the mother alien has like climbed on, like trying to like get to the ship. And then they fly out. And the whole thing explodes behind them.
Yeah, and they just barely make it out.
But they get to the main ship, the one that's orbiting the planet.
Yeah.
And they get off the ship.
And this is where the scene takes place where she first talks to the Marines and tells her story and drives the loader. So they're back at that point.
Yes. And I think they're kind of like, okay, it's done. And she looks down and she sees acid like burned through something. Mm-hmm. And
then Bishop just gets skewered.
Yeah,
by
Bishop's talking to her and she notices the acid, and that's when he gets like stabbed in the stomach from the back of, I guess they have scorpion tails too.
I guess, but he gets the mother alien rips him in half,
Yeah.
and then she goes after Newt, And Ripley goes and gets in one of the loaders that they've already set up that she is a master maneuverer of.
Yeah.
And she says a famous line, "Get away from her, you bitch."
That was a great line.
Yeah, and she delivers it so well, too. And then they have a whole fight, which is really cool. I think this might be my favorite scene of the movie because it doesn't have any guns or explosions or anything. It's just this really tense, like, robot versus alien.
This huge robot is fighting this huge alien because it's way bigger than the other xenomorphs.
Right.
It's huge. It's like a mother, like a queen bee kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the alien gets Newt, and Bishop is like on the floor, cut in half. His from his stomach up is still moving. And the alien like gets Newt, and Ripley like opens the hatch.
Yeah, the airlock. Yeah.
And Ripley's at, I think she's
It's a double door, right? So there's a door right on the surface, and she opens that one, and they both fall down in it. But then there's another door below that, where if they open that, they'll be sucked out into the vacuum of space. So Ripley is trying to keep her down there and then climb out.
Yeah, well, because I think Ripley and the mother alien. Oh, because she pushes the button to open the hatch, and the mother alien falls in, and that's when she grabs Ripley. Right?
Yeah, the mother alien grabs onto Ripley.
Yeah. But Newt's not in that hole anymore.
No, when they open the airlock, she starts to slide out. But then Bishop, even though he's half a person, grabs her
and grabs the grid underneath them.
Yeah, so it's a super tense moment because they're all in peril.
Yes.
And the vacuum of space, like, it's unrealistic because I don't think you'd be able to hold on. You have an alien holding onto you and the vacuum of space. But anyway, it's really tense, and Ripley manages to climb out, and she closes the airlock, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And
we see them go back into their pod.
Yeah, that's right. They go back into hyperspace.
And I loved that Bishop had his little pod, and his little body parts were in there, so she could go fix him.
Yeah, she had him like wrapped up in like a Ziploc bag or something like that, but in the pod.
And then
it's cool because that's with sequels a lot. They have a hard time like creating a new character arc.
Yeah.
Because in the original movie, they already overcame their character arc. So in this one, they created a new one for her in like learning how to trust the AI person.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a great one, but at least they had something.
Yeah. So she like puts Newt in one of the little, I guess the little like one of the little sleeper pods. And she's like, we're going to sleep and we'll be back where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. And she says like, we don't have to dream about monsters anymore or something. Yeah. But I guess is the other part of her arc is like she goes, like you said, she's going there to try to like face her fear so she doesn't have, which I don't think would work.
No, I don't think so either.
But anyway, that's the movie.
Like you said, me going to the reptile expo is going to cure my snake phobia. Nope, not at all. I'm not going.
Well, I mean, I think that would be one step of it, but just going there without doing any sort of therapy or anything is probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
But with people who suffer from phobias and OCD, like part of that whole therapy is like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
But you don't go straight for that. You don't just go straight for the exposure part of it. But anyway, I don't think being afraid of snakes is that big of a deal.
I know. I was about to say, I'm fine with being afraid of snakes. Because,
I think it's a healthy...
snakes are scary.
It's a healthy fear.
Yes.
Anyway, that is the movie, the 1986 sick classic Aliens. Aaron, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, what would you rate this movie?
I would rate this movie... 7.5 cat lives.
7.5 cat lives.
I mean, it's based off of it's a sequel of a fantastic movie. So you have a good base underneath you already. And And he did a really good job of like keeping those motifs that were really important to people without just doing the same thing. So I think James Cameron did a really great job in creating a sequel. I mean, it is not better than the first one. So, but I would say it's pretty good. It's close to an 8. I think it's still a fun movie to watch, but it is long.
Yeah, it is long. Are you going to ask me?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something about my thing.
No.
Well, Joey, I wonder what your rating for 1 to 9 cat lives is for this film.
Well, my cat lives rating is going to be a 7.
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of people out there who think this is a better movie than Alien.
Really?
Yeah. They just might have different tastes.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
It
maybe
is,
people that like the military kind of aspect.
Yeah, or just they prefer an action film over like the
horror.
Alien's a very slow paced like movie. But I like that. I like that about it. This is a shoot 'em up. James Cameron is probably one of my favorite directors since he did Terminator and Terminator 2. But I don't know. I don't like the aspect of how like they keep introducing new information after new information after new, like,
Yeah.
man, this movie could have been shorter and still just as good, you know? And as far as sequels go, this is probably one of the best sequels ever made. Sequels are usually a huge downgrade from the original.
I agree. I mean, I feel like if of sequels, this is one of the best sequels I've seen ever.
Yeah. It's like, and James Cameron is really good at making sequels because Terminator 2 was a really amazing sequel to Terminator. And I haven't seen any of the Avatar movies, but I've heard that this second Avatar movie that came out was an extremely good follow-up.
Oh, okay.
So he just excels at making sequels,
Yeah.
I guess, even though this wasn't his property to begin with. So, but for that, it just doesn't
Titanic 2.
Titanic 2, Dead by Dawn. But just the whole, and then like it's really a slog.
Yeah.
And I know now why I haven't seen this one as many times as I've seen the first one, and why this isn't like a go-to action film for me.
Yeah.
The way it like Warriors is.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's
or Terminator or one of those. It's kind of a slog, but all the action sequences are amazing. The special effects are amazing. I'm so glad that they got Sigourney Weaver to come back.
Yeah.
Because she's indispensable in these movies. But it's still a great movie. But I can't give it more than 7.
okay. Sounds
Sorry.
good. Well, for the last thing that we're going to do for our podcast today is we are going to we're going to play a game of Would You Rather Space Edition.
Space Edition.
So I'm going to give you
Would you rather Space Edition? I think that's
Let's
the
hear
no. That was
you
like
did it on your cheek, and I
Have
was
you ever
like,
seen
that's
it?
when you like are making like sexy sounds.
like that.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Well, that's how the
that's
beginning.
really fast though.
Lost in space. Lost in Space. That old TV show starts like that.
I've never seen that.
Lost in Space. I think I'm probably getting that wrong.
Space.
All right, let's play this stupid game.
Okay, so your first scenario, you're an astronaut, and you're stranded on Mars after your team assumes you're dead, and you must rely on your ingenuity to find a signal to Earth to tell them that you're alive. I don't know the rest of this film.
Is that The Martian?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's the other movie that
Okay.
I have to choose from?
Your second film. After years of searching, you find conclusive radio proof of extraterrestrial intelligence sending plans of mysterious machines.
Uh-huh.
This site does not give me good information on these. It's just like the little movie thing. Let me find a better plot description of this film. Okay. And that's not better. That's the same one. Okay. Okay, so you find evidence of extraterrestrial life, and you choose to make the first contact.
Is the movie Contact? With
Yep.
Jodie Foster?
Yes, with Jodie Foster.
Okay.
I don't know anything about these films, so.
Well, I'm going to go with I always wanted to hang out on Mars all by myself. So I think that's a Ridley Scott movie too.
Is it?
The Martian? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I want to say that's Ridley Scott.
Okay. So, The Martian it is.
All right, what else you got for me?
Computers being weird. Okay. Your next film, you are... Sorry, I'm looking at a list and I got to find it. Okay. You're following clues to the origins of mankind. A team finds a structure on a distant moon, but they soon realize that they are not alone. So there's aliens after you.
I don't know this movie.
Do you want me to tell you what the title is?
No, just read me the other synopsis.
Okay. Next one is you are a doctor, an engineer, and it is your first space mission. And an astronaut is with you in his final expedition. You have to survive space after being hit by debris while spacewalking.
Oh, is that the Sandra Bullock movie?
Yeah.
What is that one called?
Gravity.
Gravity, yeah. And the first one was what? I forget already.
So you are following clues to the origins of mankind when you and your team find a structure on a distant moon and you realize that you're not there alone. So you're on this distant moon.
I'm going to go with being on the moon because I don't want to just be flipping through space all by myself.
Okay.
A la Sandra Bullock.
What do you want a little bit more information? I found it.
No. What was the title of that movie?
Prometheus.
Oh, Prometheus. Okay. Yeah, Prometheus is one of the sequels to Alien. It's kind of loosely related. Also directed by Ridley Scott, I believe. God does a lot of space stuff.
Okay. You're a man and you go to have a virtual vacation memories of your planet Mars implanted into your mind. An unexpected and harrowing series of events force you to go to the planet for real. Or is he going for real?
Oh, Total Recall.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, and what's the other movie?
Your crew try to invade and assassinate. Oh, an assassin sent to recapture telepathy river.
What?
Hold on, give me a sec. Let me read the plot.
Recall. Hi, welcome to Johnny Cat.
Sorry.
There's a lot of dead air here.
I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, this one doesn't give me a good, synopsis of it. And it's loading, and it's loading, and it's loading.
Why is your computer so slow?
I don't know. Okay. So, you had a secret, one in which you weren't even aware of. and it's very dangerous. No one's safe. As an alliance operatives sent to capture you, and all others are considered irrelevant. What? That doesn't make any sense. It's called Serenity. I don't know that movie, and I don't know anything about it.
Serenity? That was the movie based on the Firefly TV show?
I guess.
Yeah, I'm going with Total Recall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know that other movie?
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
What's
I
it
think
about?
It's like a space western.
Oh.
I don't remember the plot of it. I think the plot was kind of convoluted because
I'm really bad at this one because I don't know any of these movies, and so their synopsises don't make any sense.
Oh, okay. But Total Recall, I'm going with that one because of the 3-boob mutant.
Okay. Well, that makes me
There's
feel
a mutant
great.
with 3 boobs in there, so
I need to grow another boob.
2 is plenty, but you know.
Okay. Last 2. You are on a research site and you discover an alien craft leads to a confrontation between graduate students and scientists. Okay? You are being chased by a creature from the ship. Okay?
Uh-huh.
That's your first option. Second option, you are in a team of commandos on a mission to Central America jungle and find yourself hunted by an extraterrestrial warrior.
That's Predator.
Yeah.
What was the first movie? You need to talk into your microphone. by the
I'm
way.
trying, but I'm trying to read too. Let me see if I can find a better synopsis. I know this movie. I've seen it, actually. Okay, you join a team and you've found something extraordinary deep below the Antarctic ice. They have found an alien spacecraft that has been there for perhaps 100,000 years.
Oh, The Thing.
Yes, not far from where the craft landed, you find the remains of the occupant. It's cut out of the ice and taken back into your camp. As it melts, the creature reanimates and not only begins to attack you, but manages to infect all of them with team members devolving into alien creatures. That's way better than that other Prometheus one.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to go with Predator because I don't want to turn into one of those creepy aliens from The Thing.
Yeah, those things are gross.
Yeah, I know.
We were watching it the other day.
Yeah, you went to bed, but I kept watching it.
Yeah, the
That's such a
dog
great
one
movie.
is so sad.
I know, it's creepy
That
as hell.
pulls my heart every time.
Well, you know, the real dog that was in that movie was okay.
I know,
Didn't
but
actually turn
still,
into it.
that's still scary. Anyways, that was the shittiest version of Would You Rather we've ever played.
Yeah.
So congratulations
mine were
on
pretty
getting to
bad
hear that.
too, so don't feel.
Okay.
And I had the same reasons. Like I was reading these synopses that sucked.
Yeah, the synopsis. I needed to like copy and paste. Usually, whenever I do the games, I find the synopsises that I want to use and I copy and paste them in a Word document so I can just read them straight down. But this time,
Oh, you're hearing the sausage get made here, folks.
I know. But this time, I just read it straight from the website. So, and I picked films that I thought you might know because I've heard of the names. I've heard of Prometheus. I don't know what it's about.
I've never seen it, or maybe I've seen a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's going to do it for us in this episode of Slay the Cats.
Yep.
If you would like to contact us, it's joeyanderinpod at gmail.com. You can write us about anything, tell us how stupid we are.
We would love to hear your feedback.
Yeah.
Even if you want us to do a film that you want us to watch, we
Yeah.
are happy.
Write to us about a movie. It doesn't have to be this movie.
You can write to us about anything. You
Any
can write
movie you
to
want.
us about your problems if you want.
Go ahead, write to us. Tell us about your financial issues, your
Marital issues.
romantic and marital issues. Did your dog just die?
Aw, I hope not. Was it taken over by an alien?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Was your dog taken over by an alien? Let us know.
Please tell us.
All right. That's going to do it for us, guys. Don't forget to slay and neuter your cats. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.